Welcome into the Heat Report by Chat Sports. I am Nic Rohloff, and we have a loaded show for you guys today. And it all starts, of course, with a Damian Lillard update. And we also have a little update as well on Tyler Herro's trade value, as it is likely him going to a third team in this deal. So it's nice to see what the Heat could get for him in technicality that would also go to Portland, and also some NBA free agent targets that I want to talk about that the Heat could sign when they trade for Dame, because they're going to need to fill some roster spots with veteran minimum players. So I got 5 guys who can do that. But first, we're almost at 4,000 subscribers. It's honestly crazy for me to even comprehend that we're almost at 4K subs already. Just a big shout out to you guys. But we are 145 subscribers away. If you want to be informed on the latest Damian Lillard news, rumors, and anything related to your Miami Heat, hit that sub button. And if we get to 4K from this video, I'll chug a beer tomorrow morning on our next Heat video. So hit that sub button. And before we get into Damian Lillard, I also do owe some shout outs to the people who shared the video from Monday. Shout out to Pops, Nic Rohloff, doing it once again. Jordan, and a bunch of numbers. Shout out to you. Ralphie ABC shared the video once again. He's a 2-time shout out guy. And then Jay the Fox 101, shout out to him as well. But now, the latest on Damian Lillard, because Adrian Wojnarowski, I've been critical of his reporting throughout this Damian Lillard saga, but I thought he came out with some real quotes and real reporting that wasn't just from Portland, but actually from around the league. So this is what he had to say on Damian Lillard. Dame's agent, Aaron Goodwin, has been calling prospective trade partners and warning against trading for him. Team executives told ESPN Goodwin is telling organizations outside of Miami that trading for Lillard is trading for an unhappy player. And this is kind of wild. We've seen players demand a trade in sports. Aaron Rodgers did it with the Jets in the football world. But in the NBA, Katie pretty much wanted the Suns. Harden at one point wanted the Nets and then was kind of down to the Sixers. But we've really never seen a player demand one team like this and then not move off of it and tell other teams, do not trade for me because I will be unhappy and could potentially request a trade out just a mere 6 months to a year later. So it's kind of wild to see Damian Lillard just push his way to Miami, but I absolutely love it. And it's kind of my prediction here that this trade gets done late next week, I should say. So it's Thursday when we're filming this. I wouldn't be surprised if it's Thursday next week when everyone is in Vegas for NBA Summer League, because if he wants it to be done, Tyler Herro's value is kind of getting out there. Seems like there's a lot of leaks about value in trades and Damian Lillard only wanting to play in Miami consistently. I think this trade might get done. But let's talk about what this is also reported, from Adrian Wojnarowski. And GMs who talked with ESPN suggested pressure won't impact how they proceed. They'd have Dame under contract and believe his default would remain playing hard and well. That's how Heat can still end up with Dame, wait out the process and hope the summer eats at rivals' ambitions. And this is kind of him going back to that Portland frame of mind where even though we just reported that Damian Lillard really only wants to go to Miami, they also could send him somewhere else and those teams believe Damian Lillard would just play just as hard. So it's interesting to see Woj play both sides of the coin here. I've seen someone tweet this out, and I completely agree, that Woj is kind of playing the long game here. He's doing the dirty work for Portland, getting these narratives out there, but he'll also get the scoop on when Damian Lillard is actually traded. He'll likely have the report first because he is in that Portland front office ear. So it is interesting to see Woj play both sides of the coin, but I respect it. But now let's get to Tyler Herro's trade value, and this was a really interesting quote from Adrian Wojnarowski, and it kind of lays the framework of how a deal is going to get done. Let's see what he had to say. As unappealing as the Heat's prospective package might be to Portland, can they top it? Portland doesn't want Herro, we know this, but teams have told ESPN they'd surrender a good first-rounder to Portland, maybe more, to become a facilitator by taking on Herro in a 3-way deal. And this is exactly what the Heat needed. We had that report a week ago that the Brooklyn Nets would be interested in acquiring Tyler Herro, but they also want to be compensated for it. That was just loser talk, because when you look at the stats of Tyler Herro, he is an absolute stud and only 23 years old. He's gotten better over the last 4 years he's played in the league, and the dude is only 23 years old. So why wouldn't you be willing to part ways with a 23 or with a first round pick and maybe more to get a 23-year-old stud who is a 20-point per game scorer? Like, Brooklyn saying they wanted to get compensated for Tyler Herro made no sense. This guy's 23. He's ascending. He's a good basketball player who can score in the backcourt. It doesn't make sense on why they'd want to get compensated. So the Heat being able to get maybe one first-round pick for Herro from a third team and more that would ultimately go to Portland is massive, because then it boosts the 2 first-round picks Miami can offer Portland to 3, potentially 4, with some added second-round picks. I feel like this trade package is coming in close together, and that's kind of why I'll reiterate my prediction that this deal gets done soon. I think it's going to be done next week. I already mentioned that. Everybody's in Summer League. The Herro buzz is growing louder and louder, and I think Damian Lillard will be a Heatle by the end of next week. But I'll ask you, and it's our pinned comment on today's show, when will Damian Lillard be traded? Type 1 for this week from now until Sunday, type 2 for next week, or type 3 for other. My guess, it's number 2. It's going to be next Thursday or Friday. But now, let's look at 5 NBA free agents the Heat can sign on the vet min after they trade for Damian Lillard, because I'm kind of thinking this is going to happen. So they're going to have to fill the roster with some veteran minimum guys. And number 1 on the list is Christian Wood. And this should not surprise folks. He is probably the best free agent available, and he is just an absolute bucket getter. There are concerns about his ability to play in a winning scheme and play winning basketball, but if there were to be a player that is not known as a winner and just a scorer and a stat box score guy and turn him into a contributing piece on a winning culture, it is the Miami Heat. And it's rare to find someone who can put up 16, 17, 20 points a game on really good efficiency for the vet min. The Heat have reported interest in Christian Wood, and it makes all the sense in the world. If they lose Jaime Jaquez in a deal, hopefully they don't lose Nikola Jovic because of how good he is. I just love watching Nikola Jovic play Summer League. But if they do, Christian Wood could be the perfect power forward to play next to Bam, stretch the floor, and be a scorer in the front court while Bam helps hide his defensive, inabilities. Let's move on to another one that I think is probably the most likely guy on this list, and it's Dario Saric. You ask why I think it's the most likely on this list? Well, it's because there was reported interest between him and the Golden State Warriors an hour before free agency started a week ago. And he's still unsigned because it is reported that he is going to wait and see what happens with the Damian Lillard trade. So it feels like Saric and the Heat have mutual interest to where if Damian Lillard gets traded to the Miami Heat, Saric could be a prime guy to play on that vet min, and I love it. Another power forward who can be a backup 4/small ball 5, stretch the floor, can handle the ball a little bit, shoot the rock from deep, and put up 8-9 a game. Dario Saric would be a great signing on the vet min, and I think he would actually really help this Heat roster. Now let's get into an interesting one. Are we bringing the Rook back? Justice Winslow, the 10th overall pick in the 2015 NBA draft, one of the Heat fan favorites when he was back in Miami. And it's been an interesting last 4 seasons for Winslow, right? In that 19-20 season, which was his last for Miami, he averaged 11 points per game, 6 rebounds, and he was battling injuries that entire season. And then obviously he was flipped to the Memphis Grizzlies for Jay Crowder and Andre Iguodala at that deadline, which helped propel the Miami Heat to the NBA Finals. Then we got him in the Grizzlies, didn't play much, battled injuries once again. Then 2 years ago, probably played the most games, 48, Clippers, Trailblazers, and then once again struggled to play and stay on the court this past season for Portland. And that's been his biggest issue, is his inability to stay on the court the last 4 seasons. But when he played with Miami, and he was there for a long time, playing 241 games, there for 4.5 seasons, he was all right. 9 points a game, 5.4 rebounds, 2.7 assists, 41% from the field, and 33.7% from 3. Obviously, there was that point Winslow moment where a lot of people expected Justice Winslow to potentially take over the point guard duties in that 2019-20 season. Unfortunately, he just wasn't able to stay healthy, and one of the Heat legends, I like to call him, had to leave in a trade. But let me know. Name a free agent you want to sign. I still got 2 more names I want to get to, but the Heat are going to have to sign someone in NBA free agency to build out this roster on vet minimum contracts, assuming they trade for Damian Lillard. It could be 2 vet min guys, could be 3, depending on how many players leave Miami in a trade. But let me know down in the comments section. Austin Rivers, a guard. And the Heat really need a backup guard to Damian Lillard, assuming he's on this team, and assuming Kyle Lowry is on his way to a different squad. The Heat will need someone to handle the rock when Damian Lillard goes to the bench, because he's obviously not going to play 48 minutes a game. So could Rivers be that guy? He's been a little inconsistent over the last 4 seasons when playing for the Rockets, the Knicks, the Nuggets, and the Timberwolves. And he used to be a scorer and a three-point shooter, and these numbers have really gone down year after year. It's been a steady decline for Rivers, who just got over that 30 mark in age. But I think he could be an effective guy who the three-point numbers don't look good on screen right now. But I think in the Heat system, when Jimmy and Bam are getting most of the attention, when Rivers is backing up Damian Lillard, I think Rivers could find himself open for threes. And it wouldn't shock me if he was back into that 20-20-21 role where he was averaging 8 a game off the bench, shooting 37% from 3. And my last name is kind of a deep sleeper, but one I sneaky love, and that's Aaron Holiday, the guard out of UCLA. And he's the youngest on this list. He's only 26 years old and has only been in the league for about 5 years. And he started out hot, right? That 2019-20 season was his sophomore campaign for the Indiana Pacers. 9.5 points per game is their backup one. Shot 39% from 3, and it's been a steady decline for him over the past 3 seasons. But one thing that hasn't declined is his three-point shooting. And assuming Duncan Robinson goes out in a trade, Tyler Herro's gone, and Kyle Lowry's gone, you've already lost Max Strus and Gabe Vincent. The Heat are going to need three-point shooting off the bench, and Aaron Holiday can provide that in limited roles. Obviously, that 41% three-point shot efficiency from this past season is very limited and probably not enough volume to make you think he's an actually adequate shooter that shows that percentage. But I think Aaron Holiday could be a really good, cheap backup one for Miami that gives them, 10, 12 minutes a game in the postseason and could potentially spot start if Damian Lillard misses some time during the regular season. So there was 5 free agents I think the Heat could sign in NBA free agency. If you have more and want to comment, not on YouTube, but let me know on Twitter, my @ is @Nic_Rohloff. Give me a follow and comment who you think the Heat should sign, or just DM me. My DMs are open. Comment or DM me, ball, plus who you'd want to sign. And I know you came from this video, so give me a follow over there on Twitter.